Pigweed here. Today we review a sidecar and discuss the Biden pardon. Well, good evening.
Good to see you. Good evening.
What are we drinking?
A sidecar.
Sidecar. It doesn't sound or look like beer.
No, it is not, because this is for news and booze.
Yes. Well, we don't often discuss current events,
No.
but sometimes a news story breaks that we just feel the need to comment on.
Comes right out at us. And today's
right.
news and booze topic is Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the pardon.
Okay, but first, explain.
Yeah, okay. Sidecar is a bourbon cocktail. It's bourbon, triple sec, and lemon juice. I'm sorry, I'm not bourbon, brandy. It's brandy,
Oh,
triple
is it?
sec. Brandy, triple sec, and
I was going to ask you what kind of bourbon that was.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
I wasn't quite getting it.
it's relatively cheap
And
brandy.
the sweetness is that triple sec, a little bit
Yeah.
of an orangey.
Yeah, you got the triple sec sweetness and the lemon juice sourness, and then you got the brandy.
Yeah.
So
Very nice.
It's all right. Yeah, it's a
Pretty
fairly
nice.
classic brandy cocktail.
Well. So, the thing that was never, ever going to happen.
Because it was promised a million times, no, I trust the justice system, I will not pardon Hunter.
Right, because we do not have a corrupt DOJ, and I trust the system, and I will abide by the jury, and I'm not like that other guy who's a liar and pardons all of his friends.
I won't need to pardon Hunter because the DOJ will be under my thumb, and then it'll be under my thumb again for 4 years. Oh, wait a minute, not me. But it'll be under Kamala's thumb
Yes.
for 4 years, so I don't need to hunt.
I don't need to.
Because I can control the justice system.
And, or, now that I'm out, when she wins, she can pardon him, and I can say, I didn't have anything to do with it.
I didn't told you I wasn't going to do it.
And then...
Yeah.
You got booted out.
Yes.
Your gal lost,
Yes.
and you're like, well, this isn't looking very good, is
No.
it?
And what it shows is that nobody trusts the Justice Department these days.
Right. So you're saying your own Justice Department is politicized against you? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, what he's afraid of is that when Trump takes office, he's going to flip the Justice Department. So basically, what's happened?
No,
is
but he was targeted by the DOJ only because his name was Biden. What?
While Biden was president, yeah.
Yeah, what are you
He was
talking
supposed
about?
to be sentenced like this weekend or something.
Yes,
right? Yes.
that's how this all.
So that's actually an interesting question. Why was it this weekend, or why did he do it? Sunday, Monday, and there's speculation about the timing. Some people thought he wanted to get it done early so that if they 25th Amendment him and kick him out,
That's
right. That he could get it done before they kick him out. And that's a reasonable supposition. But there's also the timing of
the other one is you're actually not considered convicted until you're sentenced.
Exactly.
And so this way you
he's never a convicted felon.
right. So he's not convicted and then pardoned of the offense.
Right.
He's never been convicted.
Exactly.
So that's so sweet.
It is
deal.
a sweet deal. If you're Hunter Biden, you get a pretty sweet deal.
So let's get this straight. Did he? We touched on this a little bit. Did he lie? Did he mean it and then change his mind, or did circumstances dictate, like we just talked about, that not winning the election?
Yeah, I think he was lying all along. He had every.
There's so many people who were just going, it's just no way.
Yeah, he had every intention of pardoning Hunter.
Yeah.
And not just because he's his son and for those kinds of reasons, but also because if Hunter gets convicted, then during the trial, all the other Biden crime family stuff is going to come out. All the stuff about Burisma, all the stuff about working with China, all the stuff about the big guy, all the stuff. Remember that Bobolinsky dude? He's going to be involved, and he's going to be coming in and saying all kinds of stuff about.
So if they're saying if it doesn't stop here with the tax charge and the
they'll start applying some leverage to him, and they'll get other stuff out of him.
Let's lay out what exactly he's being pardoned of. Okay, he was convicted on federal gun charges and had pleaded guilty to 9 tax-related charges, including 3 felonies. And the gun charge was you cannot purchase a gun while you're an addict.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just be like, well, I mean, what's an addict? I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're an alcoholic, like, what do you mean? How many drinks do you have to have?
Right.
So again,
where's the line?
So it's like an addict. It's like I'm a casual drug user. Does that count? Why is that? And it's very steep.
Yeah.
And I heard that it's very steep because they expect you to plea it down. When you
See, that's what I don't like about our justice system is all this plea stuff. I want you to be guilty and get you. I don't like all this. They pressure you. They say, "Look, we're going to go after your son unless you plead to this."
Right.
And I don't like.
But it gets you to go after the bigger fish. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, this is going to be 25 years. If you cooperate, we'll make it 5. You're like, well, I guess I'll be cooperating.
Yeah.
So, there's some value to that.
But the thing is that the things that he's already been in court about, the things that you just mentioned, that's just small potatoes. The House committee that's been investigating the Biden crime family has tons and tons of other stuff that they want to go after him for.
Right. So
he's been prospectively pardoned for all those things as well.
Well, let's talk about the nature of the pardon precisely, because he's not being pardoned for those two things I just mentioned.
Right. He's not being pardoned for the gun thing, for being an addict, for evading taxes. All he's being pardoned for everything and anything he could have done between this date and that date.
For the last 11 years.
Yeah, right.
Anything that you could possibly have done.
Yeah.
So, however, I heard that this could backfire in the sense.
Yes. Yeah.
The taking the fifth? Mm-hmm. Right. So if Hunter Biden if he thinks that he's insulating himself by saying, all right, they can't get Hunter on any of this stuff, so he's not going to spill the beans, that's not necessarily the case.
No, because if they call him to testify, he can't plead the fifth, because the only reason you can plead the fifth is because you'd be testifying against yourself and putting yourself in jeopardy, but you wouldn't be putting yourself in jeopardy because you're already pardoned.
Yeah. Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it might work against you. It might go, look, this isn't an option. You can lie and perjure yourself, or you can tell us
Yeah. And my attitude is as much as I think the Bidens are corrupt and that this whole thing about the Biden crime family, I believe it 100%. I mean, the Burisma thing, the China thing, it stinks to heaven, and there's no question in my mind that they're guilty of this. However, I don't like this banana republic. We go after your guys. Then you go after our guys, and back and forth and back and forth. That's not a way to run a country.
It's not. And the Democrats were saying, you have just opened the door for pardoning forever.
Yeah.
That we were trying to stand on some moral high ground. Like, we're not the kind of people who, and now you've just given, these are Democrats talking, you have just given the other side the ammunition to say, Democrats say one thing and they do another. Right. They're liars.
Yeah.
And they're going, you make us look bad.
What's going to stop Trump from coming in and pardoning all kinds of people? I mean, now that Biden is, of course, Trump pardoned a bunch of people before he left office the first time.
Roger Stone and I think Bannon.
And the basic premise for all this stuff is that both sides believe that the Justice Department can't be trusted, that it's going to be political.
That their guy was charged unfairly.
Yeah, right.
And it was politicized. And that's the only reason that Bannon, Stone, and all of these guys were.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
And both sides are now on record basically saying we don't trust the Department of Justice. Now, I don't know if you heard Ben Shapiro talking about this. He was saying that this kind of problem has become endemic throughout the Western world. And he blames the weaponization of justice on the administrative state. That once you get the administration of justice under the hands of a political organization that's not as accountable to the people, DOJ, FBI, that sort of thing, then they start to go political and they start doing what they want to do. And that weaponizes the justice system.
And erodes your faith in this.
Exactly, yes. And I think it's completely clear that the justice system was weaponized against Trump for the last 4 years. There's no question about that. And it's pretty clear that Trump has basically been saying he's going to do the same thing against Biden people because of what they did to him.
Yeah.
So that's the situation we're in, where the Department of Justice, the FBI, all these different organs of power get run by political people and then just become part of the power play.
Yeah, well, which is why Trump seems to be bringing in a bunch of disruptors and fishmongers planning to gut the thing.
And it does need to be cleared out, and it does need to be gutted, but it doesn't need to be cleared of Democratic partisans to be replaced with Republican partisans. It needs to be cleared of Democratic partisans to be replaced with something that works better.
Yeah, well, Cash is like, how about when all of you guys, who you're cops, why don't you get on the street and catch some bad guys? Why don't we spend our time not snooping and spying and subpoenaing and getting records and intimidating?
Yeah.
How about this? Find the murderers and the rapists.
And put them in jail.
Put them in jail, like a cop.
It's kind of like when the owner of the business comes in and all the salesmen are sitting around in the office. Why are you here? You should be out selling.
Yeah, exactly. And, the journalists who, who had to wrote their op-eds and got on camera defending Biden's high moral standards and all of that. They're like, you're making me look stupid.
Did you see the supercut? There was a little video, it was a 9-minute long video of all these different personalities in the news saying, "Oh, Biden has much too high moral character. He would never pardon Biden." Blah blah. It's the same thing. They're all reading from the same talking points.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so
it's so bad that the wording. Is,
I know.
I remember.
Somebody picks a word, like they decide to call Vance weird, and then everybody's calling him weird.
Yeah, this is back in Rush Limbaugh's day. He plays a montage of the word gravitas. Remember that? It's like nobody uses that word, and then you find out every single journalist in the next 2 days.
Yeah. It's because the DNC has sent out a little paper saying use this word.
Yeah. It's pathetic.
It is pathetic.
There's no journalism going on, and here these people who are trying to at least pretend to be journalists now look like idiots. Yeah. And thanks to you, Joe.
What they're trying to do is say, but the situation has changed because Trump is going to weaponize the system against him, and he's not going to get a fair trial. But I think he intended to pardon him all along, and that has nothing to do with it.
Right. I mean, if you just take the dad angle. I mean, I kind of get that part. Like you have within your power to keep your son out of jail.
Right. And you're not going to do it.
You're not going to do it.
But you're going to visit him on Wednesdays, right?
Dad,
why didn't you just pardon me?
Oh, the high moral ground thing. Could Obama have pardoned Ted Bundy?
Apparently, there is no limit to the pardon power.
Okay.
He can pardon himself. He can pardon. And now, apparently, that hasn't been tested. And some people think that self-pardoning maybe would go to the court. But from what I understand, there's really no limit in the Constitution to the power of the president to pardon.
There's a lot of people, but a lot of people wait until mid-January.
Right.
Right, and they're I'm out of here.
Well, I'm not sure he's gonna remember how to form a sentence in mid-January. No. So he had to get it done early.
So he's unfit to stand trial on a documents case.
Right, because he's senile.
Because he's senile.
But he can still pardon people.
He can be a president.
Yeah.
He can give millions of money to Africa and to Ukraine. He can
billions. He can get us very close to. We're very close to nuclear war right now. I think a lot of people don't understand this.
Right.
When we authorized Ukraine to start firing missiles into Russia, what that means is NATO people were involved in that because the people in Ukraine didn't know how to use those missiles.
Yeah, but you're too senile to answer some questions in front of a jury.
Right. But you can run the country.
Really, we don't. Nobody is running the country. I mean, nobody elected is running the country.
It's really
Harris is off somewhere else. She hasn't been involved since she was.
I don't know how anybody can defend this idea that he was too senile to stand trial.
I don't know.
We had to push him out, but he stays in office.
But he stays in office.
The honest thing to do would have been to 25th Amendment him and get him out.
Right.
That would have been
then
honest.
they could have got their first black woman president.
Yes.
For 2 months.
And there's talk about
she'll
that
go
anyway.
on the record, and then Trump's like, "But I already got all the 47s.
I know.
All my gear says 47. Now 48."
I was wondering about that. All those hats. They're not gonna mean anything anymore. Yeah. It might still happen. He might still resign, or they might push him out, and she might become president for a day or whatever. And then she goes down in history as
and then she'll get to pardon some people.
That's right.
So the no one is above the law business. Can we just put that to bed?
It obviously everybody in the country knows that there's a different standard of justice for rich people, for the important people versus everybody else. If Major Crowhill had done what Hillary Clinton did with documents, or what Biden did, or what Trump did, if she'd
be in Leavenworth.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous how there's a different standard of justice. Hunter and his gun charges. If he was just some poor guy in Baltimore, of course he'd be in jail.
Right.
Of course he would be. So, yes, people don't believe in fair justice anymore.
Well, I mean, it's kind of naive to think that anyway. But you would say,
yes,
largely, there are people with real power who are who are above the law.
Yeah.
Who are going to get different treatment, or not different treatment, but you know what I mean. You're going to get 8 expensive lawyers arguing on your behalf.
So let's just take a minute and say what would be an environment? What would be conducive to an environment where you would believe that justice was fair? Like what kind of things would be necessary for you to believe that, yes, I'm going to get a fair shake in the justice system?
Well, I mean, you're going to get a fair shake. You're just not going to get the same shake as,
well, for a regular case.
Yes.
If you're caught.
But the thing is, you're not going to get. You're going to get a fair shake. You're not going to get railroaded on trumped-up charges. You did the thing. It's just that another person with other connections who does the thing.
Well, I'm not sure that people don't get railroaded on false charges, but I think the problem is not the standard everyday cases where somebody commits tax fraud or whether. The problem is once it becomes political, right? Once it becomes a race issue, a sex issue, a politics issue, anything like that, that's when you're not going to get a fair trial. Because, think of the conviction of who was the cop with the knee on the neck guy.
Right.
There was no way that was a fair trial.
Daniel Penny.
Yeah, Daniel Penny, that's very questionable.
Why? It's unbelievable that this ever went to trial. They should be. He should have been marching in the Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah, that is precisely why we have the pardon power. Is because when something is clearly political and somebody's being railroaded, the executive should be able to step in and say, no.
Can governors pardon?
Yes, for state crimes.
That's right. Yeah. Okay,
but not for federal crimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why we have the power of the pardon. But I think what would give us more confidence is if we saw high-profile people, wearing an orange jumpsuit and in jail, so we could see. No, the law isn't only for the poor guy in Baltimore. We could see, yes, the law actually is even-handed. And same standard applies to those guys.
Daniel Baldwin or Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he going to jail?
Gosh, I wish he was. First of all, I grew up shooting, and the idea that you would point a gun at somebody and fire it without being 100% certain that it's not loaded.
Especially what's the name of the pistol master, whoever's the props master who's in charge of the weapons, was a woman. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't know her way around a gun or two, but just saying.
It's it's a basic thing. Here's a lesson for you, kids. When someone hands you a weapon, before they hand you the weapon, they have to show you that it's unloaded.
Why? I understand that for the authenticity. You want an actual gun because it has the proper weight, so it doesn't look like you're slinging around.
And also
but
some recoil.
Yeah, but why couldn't, in this age of CGI, why can't it just be a solid barreled gun?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, does it need the recoil?
Paint something on the end that makes it look like it has a barrel in it. Yeah. I mean, it seems like there are so many other options.
Right. Or that you would take a prop gun.
Yeah.
When the day is done shooting and you're shooting in the desert and you go, let's go shoot some cactus. Everybody thinks that's a good idea, which is fine. But why a prop gun? Why don't you just leave that in the prop cabinet and you bring your own gun? You're in Arizona. You guys can shoot cacti if you want.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun afternoon.
Sure.
But not the same thing you bring on a set.
No.
Anyway,
we got sidetracked on that one. But that's another example. Alec Baldwin is not going to get a fair trial because he's Alec Baldwin. Yeah. And it's just the way it is in America. The rich and the powerful are not treated the same way as everybody else.
Will we see the Epstein list?
Oh my gosh!
And what's the other one?
The Diddy.
Oh, and the Diddy list.
I would like to think so.
I see some very nervous celebrities.
Yeah, I would love for those things to come out. I don't think it will.
I like the idea that celebrities are using Trump's victory as a reason to leave the country,
right?
When really it's all about the Epstein and Diddy list.
That could be.
Could be, right?
Could be.
I mean, they're like, they probably voted for Trump, right? So they could say, "Oh, I'm out of here."
Yeah, see, I don't think it'll happen because when I was a kid, and there was
the list.
Yeah, I don't think it'll come out, and here's why. When I was a kid, and there was some issue that came up about trying to hold oil companies accountable for one thing or another. And my dad said, look, here's what's going to happen. Some congressman who's like, his vote is crucial for getting this thing passed or not passed or whatever. And somebody's going to walk up to him and say, hey, there's a van full of $100 bills sitting outside if you don't vote for this bill.
Right.
What's going to happen?
Right.
Right? Okay, you have billionaires, Bill Gates, billionaires, who are going to be able to just manipulate things the way they want to make sure the Diddy list and the Epstein list don't get out there.
You're saying Epstein didn't kill himself?
No, probably not. But I don't really know.
But I mean, you know, the rich and the powerful have the kind of juice.
Yes.
If you don't think Bill Clinton and Andrew Windsor, they don't even have a last name, do they?
Prince Andrew?
Yeah, Prince Andrew.
He probably has 14 names. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't think these guys with Bill Gates, the three of them, couldn't orchestrate a murder and a cover-up.
Yeah, of course they could. Of course they could. Yeah, but the elite are not treated with the same standard of justice. And I think the most important takeaway to me about the Biden pardon is that now everybody is on record as saying we don't trust the Justice Department.
Right, even when it's one thing when the other team is in charge of the Justice Department. It's harder to make the claim when you're in charge of the Justice Department. Right. So what about this suggestion that the DOJ went after Hunter so that they could say, see, we're not partisan going after Trump. We went after Trump. We went after Hunter the same way we went after Trump. So that's a cover for going after Trump for political purposes.
Huh. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, not a bad thought. I don't know.
And then they just figured, well, and in the end, he's going to get pardoned anyway. So
yeah, why not?
What's the harm?
That makes us look good because we went after him, but then we can't be responsible.
Right. So he says we're still have full faith in the Justice Department, except this time. Except this one time because
my son's in
but otherwise, total faith in the whole system.
Yeah, right. All right. So bottom line, it was expected. But not right.
But not right, and the fallout will come.
Yes.
Well, there will be fallout.
Well, there was for Ford when he pardoned Nixon. So, I mean, one of the big reasons why Ford wasn't reelected was people were mad at him for pardoning Nixon. Yeah. So,
makes sense. Yeah, and he wasn't. He was never elected, right? Spiro Agnew.
Right. Yeah.
Spiro Agnew was kicked out, so he was. So what is it? The head of the
House of Representatives
becomes vice president.
Vice president.
And then he became president.
The president
Just
gets out.
Leapfrogged his way up there with no votes.
Exactly. He was never voted president, but he wasn't a terrible president. But all right.
Neither was Kamala. All right. Pardon me.
It's all right. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.